this has the world very, very excited. What am I talking about? I am talking about a story about a closed attraction that might be rethemed to something that, well, is far more beloved than what it replaced. Here you go, Universal Parks News Today. Hollywood Riptide Rockit construction walls reference Ghostbusters at Universal Studios Florida. And this sign right here is what we want to definitely key in on. Crews have installed construction walls around part of Hollywood Riptide Rockit in Universal Studios Florida a few months before its permanent closure. The construction walls are located at the end of New York Street, around the roller coaster's treble clef element, which passes through the firehouse facade and in front of the New York Public Library facade. Both buildings are inspired by Ghostbusters locations, and the firehouse was originally the entrance to the Ghostbusters Spooktacular show. The walls are angled to leave a few feet of space in front of the firehouse doors, with only part of the facade blocked. A sign on the nearby corner of the construction walls actually references the Ghostbusters firehouse. So, Historic Preservation Act saved New York's treasures. Restoration of the historic Engine 89 firehouse. This project is being funded in part by the generous support of the Casey Foundation as administered by the Middletown Park Service, restoration organization Midtown Historical Society, grant initiation community funded project approved by S. Kish. Very, very interesting. Will Ghostbusters theming return to Riptide Rockit area? Could this indicate that the facade will be restored to its Ghostbusters theming, and that the ride replacing Hollywood Riptide Rockit will be inspired by Ghostbusters? Universal has made no official announcements, but we can hope. Well, I think there's a lot to hope for, because as the article mentioned, Hollywood Riptide Rockit does go through the old facade for the old Ghostbusters show that essentially coincided with the opening of the theme park itself back in the 1990s. Marvin, this is quite the development right here, because a lot of people have speculated that maybe Ghostbusters might be the theme for the upcoming coaster, but they didn't have much to go on outside of that, only that the facade was going to be maybe used and incorporated in its design, not too dissimilar that in a way that Riptide Rockit had done. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, look, Ghostbusters is an evergreen IP. It is something that, never goes out of style. They're always going to be making new Ghostbusters movies. I would love if something like this came back. I mean, why not do it, right? Like why not bring something like this back? Why not make a Ghostbusters roller coaster? I think that would be huge for them. And I mean, what a cool concept for a coaster a Ghostbusters attraction would be. They used to have a show, right? A Ghostbusters show in Universal.
Yes. That was the Ghostbusters Spooktacular show, which you can kind of see actually in this B-roll that I cut up. There you go. Here's a frame of it.
That's where I got that. I remember at the gift shop, that's where I got my Slimer puppet that I had for years.
How interesting. The plot thickens.
Yes.
Got the Slimer puppet. And we've seen like Ghostbusters be incorporated actually as recently as, well, this year with the Mega Movie Parade, right?
Well, that's also Halloween Horror Nights as well. I mean, they put that out there.
Right.
We had the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire house going on. But by the way, with the way the walls are up right now, it makes me wonder what they're going to do for Halloween Horror Nights, because typically back there is where a bunch of the houses are. That's the entrance to a lot of the houses, and the tribute store is right next to that on the right hand side. So, and that typically has a line that extends down the street. So I'm wondering what they're going to be able to do, with that fish.
Yeah, what are they going to be able to do? That's an interesting little tidbit that I did not previously know. I remember going to that corner, and I don't remember much beyond that, but perhaps I didn't investigate hard enough when I visited this park only briefly over there in August of 2023. Now, I know Orlando Park Stop has talked about this to some extent as recently as June 5th, 2025, it looks like. And you can see here where this new coaster is and what the project lines actually look like. We know it's going to be pretty sizable and maybe even incorporate a larger footprint than the original Hollywood Riptide Rockit did back in the day. And you can see right here, BioReconstruct actually notices that the permitting actually goes kind of like beyond Hollywood by Rockit and might actually encroach into that lagoon that's in front of both these parks right here. That's a fascinating development. We also know that Intamin is on the notice of commencement attached to this specific portion of land out there in Universal Studios Florida. A lot of people have said that Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift would be the at least the coaster model that would be coming to this area, and they would reutilize at least the controlled spinning aspect of that coaster. And if they're going to go that far, well, maybe it's going to be a Fast and Furious coaster. But this latest development has, I think, given a lot of people pause. Now, let's see. The property or theme of this upcoming coaster will be based on is still anybody's guess. And while the most popular theory is that it will be an East Coast version of Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift being built right now in Universal Studios Hollywood, some fans are holding on to hope for something else. Since the second large building being built as part of this new attraction, yeah, there's going to be a building that's going to be built just beyond this facade right here. Mm-hmm. You've noticed that in the plans. A lot of people have said maybe that's a load unload area. We will see, because right now the load unload area for Hollywood River Ride Rocket is like tucked away in this corner of what is essentially Despicable Me land. It's very awkward. It's always been odd, but that might change. There is speculation. Yes. This new building is behind the old Firehouse facade in New York's section of Universal Studios Florida. There is speculation that the new ride could be themed to Ghostbusters. Personally, I do not believe placement for one of the structures is enough evidence to go on that, though. Well, now we have maybe some additional evidence going on there. Not just the work walls, but also, too, this tweet from Universal Orlando Resort. We ain't afraid of no ghosts. Read about the Ghostbusters legacy through the years of Universal Orlando Resort. You can see when this was delivered, June 6, 2025. Marvin, that's only a couple days after they announced that August 18th was the official closing date for this attraction.
That's too big of a coincidence to ignore, I think. That seems like they're getting you ready. And Universal loves to drop breadcrumbs. They like to give little hints. Unlike Disney, Universal actually enjoys fan speculation. And because honestly, when fans speculate, it gives them an idea of what fans want. So, they could be testing the waters here a little bit. But I 100% believe that this is what they're up to.
Right. So you put out like this tweet about the history of Ghostbusters, an IP you don't even own, in this park a couple days after you officially announce that this thing is closing. And when? I mean, this is with these work walls now, and are we getting Ghostbusters? It feels like we're getting Ghostbusters. Oh,
yeah, I would put money on it at this point that this is going to be Ghostbusters. But you know what's funny? Like the Firehouse restoration thing. Mm-hmm. My first thought when I saw that was how the Bob Iger building destroyed the New York Fire Museum, and they're going to have to restore that as well.
Oh man, it's just I just think it's very, very fascinating, very, very interesting. We will keep everybody up to date on this very rapidly developing story as it would turn out, because I think this space is kind of the one to watch in Universal Studios Florida. That is, if it's Fast and Furious, we're all thinking, okay, maybe they get rid of the Fast and Furious, Supercharged. Is that right? What's called out there? Maybe they get rid of that, and then this is the Fast and Furious area of the park now. If it's Ghostbusters, well, that's just, sky's the limit on what, the possibilities of that could be. And then let's not discount Back to the Future. That could also be maybe one of the themes for this coaster. They're going to have a theme. It just, at this point, depends on what it will actually be.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.